going to be paying tribute to the late Professor Sir Victor Efosa Uwaifo. He is a legend. Let me not use that. Well, while he was alive, he was a legend, and still till now he remains a legend. He was someone that was well known in Nigeria for his special kind of music, and he made Nigeria and even his own state proud at every point in time. He was somebody that was well read, even going back to school at an old age. We're going to be giving you a little package about late Sir Professor Victor Efosa Uwaifo. Stay tuned.
Born 1st March 1941 in Benin City, Victor Uwaifo, MON, an indigenous of Edo State, Southwest Nigeria, is a high-life musician, writer, sculptor, music instrumentalist, and music instruments inventor. He had his secondary education at the Western Boys High School, Benin, and St. Gregory's College, Lagos, between 1957 and 1961. He studied graphics at the Yaba College of Technology, Lagos, between 1961 and 1963, where he obtained an ordinary national diploma, OND. Victor Uwaifo, who had his earliest music influences from Spanish and Latin American music, began playing the guitar at the age of 12. During the school holidays and weekends, he jammed with Victor Olaya's All-Stars Band, and upon completion of secondary education, he performed with E.C. Arinze's High Life Band during late hours. Uwaifo also briefly worked with Stephen Osita Osadebe and Fred Coker before joining the Melody Maestros in 1965. Between 1965 and 1968, he developed the Akwaite rhythm sound. In 1966, Victor Uwaifo released some of his best-known songs, Guitar Boy and Mami Water, which were major hits across the continent of Africa. A multi-instrumentalist who plays the electronic guitar, flute, saxophone, electronic piano and percussions, and whose dexterity on the guitar, playing with both his feet and tongue, compares to none, Victor Uwaifo in 1994 earned a bachelor's degree with first-class honors in Fine and Applied Arts, majoring in sculpture from the University of Benin. He also holds a master's degree in the same discipline from the same school.
If you see Mami Water, never you run away. Hey, hey, sing the song of love and
a lecturer and one-time commissioner in Edo State, Uwaifo made history in the year 1999 when he won the first golden record in Nigeria, West Africa and the African continent for his song, Joromi, one which has continued to garner appreciations the world over. Till date, he has a total of 12 golden records to his credit.
Yes, sir.
In recognition and appreciation of his talents and contributions to the music and art industries in Nigeria, Sir Victor Uwaifo has received several honors and awards both locally and internationally. Some of these include Member of the Order of the Niger MON in the year 1993, making him the first professional musician in Nigeria to receive such an award. Justice of Peace, JP Public Notary and Lay Magistrate, he was honored by 4 Nigerian presidents. Performance at the United Nations Golden Jubilee celebration in 1995. Honorary member of the Biographical Advisory Council, Cambridge, England. Member Performing Rights Society, and many more. Our father and grandfather, Sir Victor Uwaifo, continues to inspire younger artists with interest in high life music.
And welcome back. Wow, that was a late Sir Victor Uwaifo. I told you that we were talking so much about him this morning, and in the studio I have somebody with me that I don't even know how to, talk about him, because I'm sure he started way before I got into secondary school. So I said that I don't know how to compose my grammar while he's here on set with me. He's no other person than an award-winning media icon. He is also a broadcaster, he's a media manager, a speech trainer, and he is a talk show host. He's been in this industry for over 3 decades, and he has sometime along the line worked closely with the late Professor Victor Uwaifo, and he is no other person than Sony Irabor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Am I sitting well? Good morning. How
Whichever way you sit, you are fine. Good morning. Good to have you on the show this morning.
Pleasure.
Yes, it's good to have you.
Same old studio. I'm here back to see you again. Thank you indeed.
Yes, and it's good to have you on my set today. Yes, I've always been with you out there, one-way functions and all that.
Yes.
But good to have you on my set today.
Thank you. And you're looking good in today too.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back to the business of the day. We're talking about late star Victor Uwaifo. What's your relationship with him? How have you?
Well, Sir Victor, Professor Victor Uwaifo, we had relationships that spanned over quite a few years, actually. I must say that the one that really resonates strongest is the fact that he was an entertainer. I'm a broadcaster, so I always had to play his music.
Oh.
And being able to speak and interpret the language, because we spoke the same language, Benin language, I felt at home with most of the lyrics. But then when we spent a year plus one-on-one was when I was in government with him. He was commissioner for arts, culture and tourism, while I was in charge of information and orientation under Chief Lucky Benedion, 2001 and 2002. I saw Victor Uwaifo in a different light, just being a man who didn't say much in council meetings, but was very, very incisive when he spoke. He knew what he was saying, he knew when to say it and how to say it. So he wasn't just an entertainer, he was somebody who understood the language of, how would you put it, language of dealing with people and giving them the chance to express themselves the way he did. I think I loved that about him, and the governor himself also fully respected him like other council members.
Right. Would you say that there was a moment that was so remarkable between both of you, all this while?
Oh yes, I mean, Victor would always tell you, oh boy, not be so, then talk more. Be bold and die young, that's how he would say, And when somebody tells you to be bold and die young, well, we used to use that in secondary schools, it's telling you that you should, no holds barred, as we say. You don't hold anything back. Speak your mind as long as it is the truth. That truth means a lot. And Uwaifo was a man of truth. And he was multi-talented. He was very, very decisive in the image he wanted to create for himself and for how people will interpret what he did. Either in his artworks or in his compositions or his expression of music. For a man who was 80, you could see that he was still dancing on stage, Many of us can't do that these days, you know. But
So what would you say stood him out, or stood his music out? Because even we, the likes, you know, people in my generation, we grew up, you know, listening to his music, and even till now, and it seems as if till generations to come, his music is still going to be alive.
Yeah.
So what would you say, you know, stood the music out?
well, first, Uwaifo did more of Edo music. He did most of his music more in Benin language than in English language. But he had some English compositions as well.
Also.
He was an entertainer, an international entertainer, but he didn't lose the culture of where he was coming from. Jerome is a story, and that's a 1965 production, I think it was. It was a story about a wrestler, you know, who was wrestling with the people of netherworlds and wrestling with people of earth, you know, and he told them, don't wrestle again, because if you do this and you continue like this, you'll be going to heaven or hell. So stop wrestling. But of course, that's the power of getting yourself strong enough to follow the argument of whether I can wrestle or I cannot wrestle. But then he also spoke in parables, proverbs, a lot of it, you know. Then he created genres of different beats, from high life to akwete to ekasa to titibiti. You can't name them. So Uwaifo was unique, and that stood him out. Unlike Osita Osadebe was exceptional in his high life rendition, Uwaifo was exceptional in the various categories of beats that he created.
Wow. Good to hear the story behind Jerome.
And the man who went to school at 56 and became a PhD holder.
Okay, so I should not give up on myself.
No, please don't. Even myself, I'm not giving up.
Yes, we cannot be talking about late Victor Uwaifo's music, sounds, and the lyrics and tracks without giving you a time to enjoy some of the music. Stay tuned, we'll play you some of late Victor Uwaifo's music.
Never, never you run away. Never run away, Victor Uwaifo. If you see mommy water, if you see mommy water, never, never you run away. Song of love, sweet melody. You see my water never run away. Happened 40 years ago at the Babish. This Mami water, if you've never seen one and you see one, glittery, silverish in color, almost blinding. And if you see it, don't run away, because if you don't be afraid. God created everything in this world, both good, bad, evil, and beautiful things and ugly things. All things work together for good. Don't run away. I didn't run away, and I listened to the melody, and she floated away. It's a very short melody, which anybody can remember at any time. I've written a book on it. It's a part of my autobiography, so you will see the full text of that story.
if you see Mami Water, you've been with him for quite a while. Did he actually see the Mami Water?
Well, he said he did, and it was at Bar Beach.
Really?
Yeah, and it was at Bar Beach. I remember asking him one of those my interviews many years ago. He stood his ground. He said he saw the mermaid, and of course he always described it the way he, sang it. And who am I to doubt whatever? The fact is, the way he even created the music or composed it and performed it, one can't help but say the guy is an enigma. He's expressionistic. He understood what he was doing and he stood by his word. I go believe him.
Who are we though to doubt him?
No, seriously. I mean, okay, if I tell you now that I went to some place here and I saw some strange character, I described him, but the way I would even describe him, you would believe me.
Exactly.
You would not even think of anything else. No, you know what's going on down there.
Down there, exactly. Okay, let's go back to, so many years ago. I wouldn't know where I was as at that time. We heard of a story that he was electrocuted sometime on stage and rescued by Sony Irabor.
Okay, yes. Oh, that story resonated. And again, I don't know the full details of it, but I must say that he was not only thankful to Sony Irabor, but he also showed, I think, one thing I remembered him saying was that, well, God saved him, saved his life, and he knew that he had more time to perform better, And Sony Irabor, who was younger than him and is now of blessed memories, he was another very hardworking person who worked with him, understudied him, so they had a lot in common. And in those days, when you were on stage, I'm saying those days like say I was that young.
No, it's been quite a while.
In those days, I mean, Uwaifo is almost 10 years older than me. I'll be 17 in March.
Wow. So, when I grow up, I want to be like you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, just the watch. So in those days, they were quite adventurous and they were not as careful as I want to believe we are now. Because the instruments were not that, insulated. So there was exposure to live wires and everything.
Okay, talking about the instrument, the Jita boy. Tell us the story behind that.
He created 2 neck guitars. And it was the first in the world I ever did it. And I think I should say that was it in 1968 or 70 that I think created those double neck guitars. He was respected internationally for that. Sometimes I feel sad, even though Nigeria has done its best to recognize him. I'm just wondering if Victor Uwaifo were in, say, UK or USA or Europe generally or France,
it would have been better.
It would have been so much better, So, but then he was loved, respected, and his works appreciated by the people he lived with. He never left Nigeria. I mean, apart from going out to perform, he lived here. He built his houses here. He made his sculptured works here. And of course, he also he was resident in Benin after he left Lagos. He knew that home was the best for him. So, honestly, I think Victor Uwaifo is not just an enigma, but a very special breed that will not be easily replicated.
All right, talking about being a special breed, can we talk about looking at Nigeria music industry now with all of our kids doing all sorts of things, wonderful things, I must say, can we say that, would we say that he feels that the music has been taken to another kind of level?
Oh, even he acknowledged that. I mean, what with Wizkid, Davido, Tiwa Savage, Flavor. You see, look, what I would advise people in power is to recognize the worth of creativity and use it to carry the people along, because creativity, entertainment, now film industry as well. They all go hand in hand. Uwaifo was all in all of them, and sometimes you see people like BBC coming to, do a special on Sir Victor Uwaifo, Professor Victor Uwaifo, and those things, they will encourage anyone who has the opportunity to create an enabling field for all to excel. Davido is making it, Wizkid is making it because of the international connection.
Yes.
I would love that home we should have that opportunity for the younger ones. There are many very creative young boys. Look, I saw Steve Harvey's show where the Korodu boys were highlighted because of their ability to replicate what they saw on TV. And I said to myself, Nigeria is such a beehive of creativity that we should give room for such an exhalation of power in creativity. Let people begin to seize the opportunities, use them, but what is important is let them have the enabled playing field. Let them have the playing field to operate successfully.
Okay, talking about him.
And that means investment, means loans, facilities, means a lot of other things.
All the support they can get.
Uwaifo wrote some books. He was always financing himself. And when he said that, I felt a bit sorry for him. So, but let's not get
I was going to ask you, being someone that was, he was a musician, he was a sculptor, he was a public servant, and you have just said now that he also wrote
books, yes.
Books.
Yes.
How was he able to, combine all of this?
My dear sister, I said he's an enigma. I don't know.
He's just a special.
A
special kind of.
I think he's that kind of person. Like, okay, we organized the Nigerian Music Festival in 2009, which was just 1 year to the 50th anniversary of Nigeria's independence. Uwaifo came to play. There were 28 artists. Fatai Rolling Dollars, Onyeka Nwenu, Sir Victor Uwaifo, quite a lot of them. And then we kept him waiting. Where he sat waiting was practically talking to himself. So when I went to speak to him in Benin, Uncle, where are you now? What time we are going? You're talking to yourself. He said, no. He said, no. I'm in my creative mood. When he said that, sorry sir, I left him alone. Because apparently he was reciting things in his head. To me, such a very active mind, such creative mind, you can't stop him.
All right.
You can't hurry his sunshine.
So let's talk about the legacies he left behind as an Honorable Commissioner for Arts, Culture and Tourism in Nigeria. What was his contribution to, tourism, or what would you say that did he actually leave any legacy, in that aspect behind?
It's such an interesting question because, yes, he tried his best to do that, but when you're in government, you have to present things, they have to be approved and have to be made public, policy-wise, regulation-wise, and so on and so forth. But one thing I do know is that I remember Tony Okoroji and I think Onyeka Nwenu coming to Benin to meet with him when they were still battling with this Copyright Society of Nigeria and how far it can go. And because of the power he exudes and the fact that he was also in government at the time, they needed his support. He was also a member of the P-Man, so they needed his support, and he says so. As for the legacy he left, the history of the government of Edo State, as far as 1999 to 2007 is concerned, we'll be able to talk about that. I will not be too clean to say, yes, I know all about it. But I know that in his efforts, he did his best as Commissioner for Arts, Culture and Tourism to make sure that it was lifted to the highest, near the next highest level.
Wow, that's beautiful. Well, before I let you go, just in 10 seconds, we have the likes of Dari Art Alade, picked up from where his father, left and all of that. Did any of his family, siblings, children pick up, you know?
Oh yes, in fact there's one video doing the rounds. A very young, fine, beautiful, fine and beautiful girl. There's Victor Uwaifo's daughter who was strumming the guitar in such a sonorous voice. Oh, it's a pity. I wish we had. Anyway, we'll try. I'll get the video to you guys so they can, you know, play it.
Wow.
Then his son is involved in the production of a good work that is currently making the rounds. I don't know the title now, you know, but he was a producer in that one, and it's one of the top hits in recent times. And I'm talking in the last since this year, you know, music top hits for him. So I believe Uwaifo has left some very creative minds behind.
And
a lot of them.
Thank you very, very much. I'm sure you will agree with me that no other person would have been right to talk about the late Victor Uwaifo. All right, thank you very much for being my guest this morning, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good to have you here. Next on the show, a group of kids so many years ago came together all the way at Uyo. They are called the Ekemini Cultural Group. They performed that same song, Joromi, with xylophone. Stay tuned and watch this.
Go ahead.